SF2000 SSP. This is the exact model I have been fishing and that I am reviewing today. But first, one more time, many thanks to Mr. Ben Wallman from Minnesota, who shipped me the reel for some fishing time and for a review, because I wasn't going to buy this reel and you folks weren't going to watch a review of it, not on my channel anyway. So he's the man who made this review possible. Now, let's take a look at the aesthetics of the reel first. As always, with all of these exists and Airities, it's an absolutely beautiful reel, especially in terms of shape. If you drag your nails across this reel, there is just not an edge sticking out anywhere. There is just nothing for your nails to grab on, folks. It looks to be an incredibly aerodynamic shape, even though aerodynamics are not necessary for a fishing reel, but it just looks as an incredibly aerodynamic shape. The knob here is a classic knob, which I really appreciate. I don't like these tiny square knobs that they put on the Presso reels and on the smallest Vanquish. I just like a flat knob. The size, the smaller the better, but I want it to be flat. One thing that I don't like about the aesthetics is the connection in this handle here. It just looks thick and clumsy. I know it's hollow and very lightweight, but it just doesn't look elegant. All of the Airities have this type of handle with the two pieces of frame, and they look like they're thinned out and they just look more elegant to me. I'm surprised that the DAIWA engineers decided that this is a more, I'm sorry about the shaking, that this is a more beautiful handle. It looks a little bit clumsy and like somebody just glued this piece on top of this piece. I wish DAIWA would revert back to this type of handle. Another thing I don't like about the Exist is this chrome. The entire reel is just one huge chunk of chrome. This chrome is a funny thing. I need to make one video just about the colors of the fishing reels, ridiculous as it sounds, because the chrome appearance is a very polarizing thing. People either love it or hate it. In my opinion, in the ultralight fishing world, most people hate chrome. However, bass anglers overwhelmingly love the chrome. And guess where the money is? The money is in bass fishing. So I guess this reel is gonna be chrome forever. It's just not my thing. This reel, folks, because it has a 2000 size spool, looks kind of big, doesn't it? It looks like a 155-gram reel. But you would be mistaken. My reel with the line weighs exactly 138 grams, which is, to put it in perspective, 10 grams lighter than the 1000 size Shimano Vanquish. But just to be fair to everybody, this reel is 5 grams heavier than the Cast King Kestrel. That's right. I brought that up when I reviewed the Kestrel, and everybody told me it doesn't feel as smooth as DAIWA and Shimano. Yeah, but it's 5 grams lighter than the Exist, man, and the colors look so nice with the Presso. But okay, let's not go on another tangent. Extremely lightweight reel because it is SF. Those who are new to my channel, SF stands for 500 size body. I'm sure people will go and correct me in the comments again, say, no, Victor, you're wrong. SF stands for sensitive tone or whatnot. I'm telling you what it really stands for. SF stands for 500 size body. I remember in 2017 when DAIWA just released these LT reels, I said in my first review, I said that LT stands for shitty drag sound. And oh my gosh, 50 people left in the comments that LT actually, they said, Victor, it actually stands for light and tough. And everybody felt so good correcting me. No, Victor, it doesn't stand for shitty drag sound. It stands for light and tough. If you cannot detect sarcasm, be careful when you leave these comments on my channel, because you think you're embarrassing me, but sometimes you're just embarrassing yourself. SF stands for 500 size body. The numbers on the spool will tell you the size of the spool, but SF stands for 500 size body. That's why this reel is lighter than the regular model. Okay, so I went on DAIWA's website and I tried to find what parts or technologies does the Exist have that the Airity STSF, imagine that I have a Airity STSF in my left hand here. What parts or technologies does the Exist have that the new Airity doesn't have? And I looked and compared, and I found nothing, folks. Now, I know for a fact these are two different reels. I'm just saying that on the website there is nothing different in the description of the Exist and the new Airity. Yes, there is one extra bearing here in the Exist that you don't have in the Airity. It is this bearing right here. I have it in my shop. I have a stainless steel one. I have a hybrid ceramic one. I think it costs $3. If you think this bearing here is a real difference, get you $3 and you can go get it from my shop. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, DAIWA uses the Airity platform to sell old generations of the Exist. And sometimes it's a combination of parts of the new generation and some parts of the old generation, but I could not find any kind of serious structural difference between the reels. The only thing is that some of the parts in the Airity are from a previous Exist, and here all parts are from the new Exist. I know I have beaten this horse to death, but I'm gonna kick it one more time. For those of you who quote unquote upgrade their felt washers with carbon, the $800 DAIWA Exist comes with felt. The pinnacle of ultralight fishing, the Shimano Vanquish, comes with felt. DAIWA Presso comes with felt. The best ultralight fishing reels in the world all come with felt. If you want to quote-unquote upgrade felt with carbon, you've got bigger problems to take care of, not the drag of your reel. Alright folks, let me sit on the couch for the last section of the video, because I may say a few surprising things, and if we say surprising things to each other, it's better to be face to face, I think. If you watched my fishing videos with this reel, you probably already picked up that I really like the performance of the reel. Everything from tiny bluegill to black bass and occasional drum and catfish. This reel not only handles everything, but handles everything in the best possible way. When you twitch a 1 gram jig with this reel and you do like twitch, twitch, half turn, twitch, twitch, half turn. I mean, the resistance, super low resistance, super low resistance. The drag, it's very difficult to have a drag that can stop a heavy fish, but at the same time, when a little bluegill makes a little pull, the drag still goes tsirk, tsirk. You have to have a really sensitive and at the same time powerful drag. I really have nothing to recommend for improvement about the performance of the reel. Unfortunately, folks, even with the amazing performance, I thought and I cannot come up with a single reason to recommend the purchase of this reel. The reason for that is that the Vanquish, and let's say this is the Airity STSF. I know it's not, I returned it already, but I need to hold something in my hand when I'm talking about these reels. The reason for that is that the Vanquish and the Airity are just as amazing in terms of performance and cost only half of the price. Let me quickly compare the Exist with both of these reels separately. Now, with the Vanquish, you might actually be able to make the case that the Exist has a fully metal frame, and like all DAIWAs, it feels a little bit more smooth and just overall more premium. The Vanquish, by the way, you know, the body is metal, but the side plate is carbon. So the feel of the reel is not quite, I mentioned this when I compared it with the Airities. The feel of the Vanquish is not quite as premium as the Exist and the Airity. It is not. But does this mean that the Airity and the Exist overall have a better user experience? Absolutely not. At least not to me. To me, not at all. Because the Vanquish might not feel as premium, but does actually have a couple of edges in terms of performance. The resistance of the Vanquish is still the lowest. With splitting hairs, but in my opinion, the resistance and the transmission sensitivity of the reel is still the best. Then you have a better spool than the DAIWAs. Then you have the perfect line lay. You have a nicer spool lip. So yeah, the DAIWAs feel a little smoother, quieter maybe even, a little bit more premium. We're splitting hairs here. Don't go from one ditch to the other. But you can say, I like the premium feel of the DAIWAs and I don't care for the edge in performance of the Vanquish. So I want to spend 700 or 800 on the Exist and I don't want the Vanquish. You can make that case. So let's leave the Vanquish aside. The bigger problem, folks, for the Exist, I don't know what reel to hold. I'm really not prepared. These reviews are half prepared. I have talking points, but the other half is spontaneous. The problem for the Exist, folks, is that the Airity STSF feels just as premium. So you could say, okay, I like the DAIWA feel better than the Vanquish feel, but now you got nothing, because the Airity STSF feels every bit as smooth and quiet and premium as the exist. You might want to press me, well, Victor, here in the exist we have only the newest parts. In the Airity STSF we have some new, some old parts, but okay, only new parts and some old parts. The exist must feel a little bit better. But unfortunately, folks, it does not. And I don't care how many, in this case, I am not willing to make any concession. The exist does not feel better at all compared to the Airity STSF. And I had two Airities, and both of them felt at least as good as this exist. The exist SF does not feel, not even a small edge, even if you want to split hairs, I am telling you, it does not feel better than the Airities. On the other hand, there are some flaws in aesthetics. I mean, who wants an all chrome reel? All of the Airities, they have a bunch of models, but they're all a little bit darker. They're not the prettiest reel out there either, but they're still shiny, but they're all darker. If you're gonna put these two reels on one of these black Japanese rods, it doesn't have to be this one, you can pick, but they all look pretty much the same. They're just black Japanese rods. The Airity will always look nicer with these Japanese rods. Then you have the handle here. I told you I prefer the handles in the Airities. Aesthetically, to me, the Airity reels look nicer. Then what do you get for the extra $350? You get absolutely nothing. You know, I'm not against the idea of spending a lot of extra money just to get a little bit of improvement in feel or sensitivity or just aesthetics, just a little bit of improvement in something. For example, my Presso Air AGS rods, the $300 Presso Air AGS and the 20-year anniversary, which costs $650, what do you get for the extra $350? Very little, let me tell you. The sensitivity, if anything, the $300 rod is actually more carbony feeling and more sensitive than the $650. But the $650 rod feels different. It feels different and it looks amazing. Just the aesthetics alone, that looks like a rod you can hang on the wall. And by the way, I should hang it behind me. My point is, there is very little, like to somebody who Presso doesn't mean anything to them, it makes no sense whatsoever to buy the 20-year anniversary rod. But to me, this is the most amazing rod that I own, and I will never sell this rod. They might make much nicer rods than this. I will still never sell this rod. And let me tell you, if these two reels did not exist, the Airity STSF and the Vanquish did not exist, I would actually tell you that it's worth spending $700 or $800 on the exist and buy that instead of the $300 Presso or Luvias or Vanfort or Cardiff or one of those. It would be a huge jump in cost for very little improvement in feel, in premium feel, just a little bit better performance, but you would get something. And for those of you who make a good living, you know, God bless. Spend the extra money and buy the Exist SF, but when these two reels exist, the Vanquish and the Airity, then how do you recommend this reel? I honestly thought and I thought for some small reason, but I guess unless you like Chrome, Chrome is really the only reason that anybody would buy this reel, the Exist SF, over one of these two reels. And I will tell you folks 100% honestly, if you tell me, Victor, you can keep one of these two reels, the Airity STSF or the Exist SF, but you have to keep them for life and you cannot sell them, which one would you pick? I personally would pick the Airity STSF just because it looks nicer. I mean, there is nothing else performance-wise, then why not just get a reel that would match with your rods?